words were these two. Okay, these two words were like something very important to me when I was doing my applications. And SOPs are very important. It's like your selling point. It's like you're pitching yourself for a course. So you have to be very concise and apt, and really, it has to be very good. So it should be personal and original, and it should have a structure. You need to build a story. Uh, usually what happens, we end up repeating the things that are there on our CV in our SOPs, and that has to be there. It just has to be a creative process. It has to be a story where you begin with the motivation that led you to the things that you did in life. So
चल
for example, what I did for myself was I began with a story that motivated my journey into my undergrad, which made me choose economics, which is the subject that I'm doing my master's in right now. So it just has to be very engaging so that the reader does not get bored through it. And you have to build a story. You begin with what motivated you to do the things that you did in your life. Then you talk about how those things have shaped.
पहिले टाकून घेऊन मग करायला पाहिजे.
Uh,
आता वरून टाकून काय?
can we mute everyone? Oh, so sorry, guys. Jafar, can we just mute everyone?
Yeah, I'll mute.
Thank you. So, okay. So we begin with what motivated us in life to go on the paths that we choose. Then we talk about our experiences and how those experiences have created certain capacities and skills within us. And then we talk about how the course will help in adding to those skills. And ultimately, you talk about what you bring to the course, what you will, as a person from India or from whatever social economic identity that you come from, to contribute in class. So you just have to know what your contributions as a unique personality will be in the class. I think that's like the major checkpoint where you will be pitching yourself, and that you have to make your impact in that last concluding paragraph wherein you talk about your contribution to the course. And then most important thing that worked for me a lot during my application was the reviews I got from my friends and mentors. I got a lot of comments, sometimes even contrasting comments. But at the end of the day, you have to know that this is your SOP. This is your story that has to be told by you. So you are not obliged to take in everyone's comments. You're not obliged to follow through every review that comes in. You choose whatever you feel is right from those comments, and you go ahead and submit the draft that you think is your original work and that defines you. So, like, I had this formula that suno jan ki par karo man ki. So you just follow what you think is right and defines you perfectly, because no one else knows you as much as you do. So that's how it works with SOPs. LORs in India are, I would not say a difficult thing, because we have the advantage of writing our own LORs. That's what I have seen usually happen. Like most LORs, student draft them, and then like the professor makes some amendments and then it goes to being submitted. So I usually used to write about the things that I've done, but LORs, you need to think from your professor's perspective. And mind you, since you have the opportunity to draft your own LOR, take that opportunity and brag about yourself as much as you can. Because anyway, professors, no matter what draft you give them, they're gonna ask you to tone it down. Might as well give them like the highest version of it, so it comes down to medium rather than from medium to low. So like someone told me that I sent in my LOR, and then they told me, why is this like so bland? And then we have this affinity to, हम खुद की तारीफ नहीं कर पाते हैं basically. But in this avenue, you have to do it, and then whatever reviews come in, you change and submit. And again, the LORs need not be a repetition of whatever is there in your CVs or resumes. It has to define. So you begin with how the person, your recommender, is connected to you, how long you have worked with them. Are they your professor, your teacher, or anything of that sort? You show the connection and how you know that person. And then you highlight your qualities, you highlight the work that you have done that is relevant to your course. And then in the end, you write, I feel like this person is perfect for this course, and because of the aforementioned reasons. So it has to be a culmination of your relationship with the recommender rather than the things that you've done during the time in college or your workplace. So, okay. So, yeah, that's, I think, about it for the SOPs and LORs. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, comments you get in, and the better quality will go ahead. So, yeah, that's it from my side. Next, we have Jyotsna. She will be talking about academic essays.
Thank you, Pratyansha. Hello, everyone. My name is Jyosna, and I'm reading for MSc in Modern South Asian Studies. So I'll be talking about the academic essay and how you can go about it. So on this particular slide, you have the cover page for the writing sample that I submitted. And this is a format that generally works out, and you can follow this up, and you can take a photo of this particular screenshot that I have attached here. So essay, it is usually academic, and it is preferred to other forms of writing such as journalism, business reports, or reportage. And you have to be very careful of the word limit, and the word limit varies according to the courses. You can either submit, I believe, I'm assuming for all the courses, you can either submit 2000 words, two particular essays, separate essays, or you can also combine one particular essay of 4000 words, given that you tell the department why you are doing so. There are specific parameters as to how they will assess you. First, understanding of the research question, followed by the ability to construct and defend an argument, and the use of evidence where it is relevant, and also your power of analysis, and lastly, the ability to produce a scholarly text. Now, how does one select the questions for the essay? Now, what worked for me was that I went through, this was the most drilling part of my whole application process as to, what should I write about? Do I take some unpublished work that I have? Do I take something which has been already published? Do I take up a question which has been given to me by my professor? So, quoting Martin Scorsese here, what is most creative is the most personal. I particularly went ahead with asking my professors if they can give me questions. So this is one way you can go ahead with. You can follow up with your professors who are teaching you optional courses. For example, I took partition literature. I messaged my professor that I'm applying to Oxford and I need a certain set of questions that I can write upon. And the second essay that I submitted was an unpublished paper that I wrote on hegemonic masculinity. So if we move on forward with the next slide. So how to write an academic essay is something which I feel it comprises a very important section of your applications. So I'll just run through how to write an essay and what all you can kind of include while you're working on it, from my personal experience, and as to how I went through ahead with my application process while writing the essay. So introduction. So you bring up an overview of your topic and you touch upon the key question. Now, very often we make very generalized statements and we don't follow them up. So you have to be very critically following up your argument, what you are writing about, what the core argument is throughout the particular text. So I'm just giving you a very brief example. So if you say, in Hindi cinema, masculinity has long been a medium for portraying the intricacies of the society. Now, in this particular line, what do you mean by intricacies of the society? So you kind of reflect the starting line throughout the text. Very often, a key part of the question is touched upon very lightly by the students who are working on these essays, and also the comparative dimension. So if you're bringing a comparative dimension within the first section of your essay, you have to deal it with throughout the essay, and then you have to address the question in a direct and also in an intermittent way. Then secondly, your core argument. What is your core argument? Use
मीटिंग है रे
can you please mute yourself, Deepak? Thank you. So core argument is very important. You have to use very simple language. You don't have to use words which you can't really, connect and analyze or like critically comment on. So usage of the word is something which I believe was very central to my essay and how I wanted to format my essay. Given that, so you touch upon the core argument, which is cohesive, and that is reflected throughout your argument. Then comes the scope of analysis. Try not to cover too many details in your essay at the cost of coherence and meaningful engagement with the literature. Very often, we use examples to support the core argument, which are very arbitrary in nature. Try to use 1 to 2 examples to support whatever your argument is. And also, coming on to the next part of literature review, don't rely on a single text or on a single book if you are working on an essay. It is very important that you look into the literature that has been there of that particular topic that you're working on. I think someone... No worries. So the limited literature review that I was talking about, the reading list should be limited, but you should also use whatever scholar that you are quoting very specific to what you are writing, what you're working on, and if they are very central to your argument. And even if they are not, if they are providing a counter argument, you can specify as to why you have kind of put them in your essay. And just don't rely on a single text, but it's also very important to take one primary text and kind of follow up with secondary text. Because I worked on, in my essay, I worked on partition literature. So I took Toba Tek Singh as my primary text. And the secondary text was the arguments which were made by different scholars. Read through those arguments and kind of shorten them, enlist what is relevant to your essay. Try not to clutter too many scholars into your essay. Focus specifically on 2 to 3. That would be a good way to go about it. Then comes the critical engagement with the text. Like little sustained engagement with the intellectual argument just by citing the authors. It's something which usually we tend to do. We cite a lot of authors and provide in-text citations, provide footnotes. So in doing so, make sure that they are actually kind of furthering the argument that you made in the introduction. What you put as your main question follows up in every section, is reflected, it is connected. So the connection from one paragraph to moving to the second paragraph, it's very important. And in doing so, you should particularly focus on not providing information like a newspaper or a media source which is not engaged with the text. So in Oxford, if you say, so what works is, if you say the sky is blue, we know the sky is blue, but why? What is the reason behind it? And if you say in Hindi cinema, masculinity has long been a medium for portraying the intricacies of society, you have to engage with the question of why throughout these texts. In doing so, if you are engaging with the why question, you choose empirical evidences. Now these empirical evidences should not be very arbitrary, as I said before. Again, empirical evidence I've already covered this point. Engage more originally with the concepts that you have taken up, as well as apply to them consistently to avoid long stretches of descriptive prose. Try to be descriptive, but also to be analytical. So there is a difference between the two. Try to put an analytical lens along with originality, and I think that would work the best. Structure of the essay is some narrative voice. When I talk about the narrative voice, sometimes the student voice is lost when you quote too many authors. Try to put forward what your argument is, to clearly state what your standpoint of the analysis is, right? And if you are talking about the structure of the essay, it's very important you look into the formatting. Formatting is something, if we can go back to the first slide, Pratyanja.
So sorry, you've muted yourself. I'm so sorry.
No worries. So in this, yes, yes. In this particular like screenshot that I've provided here, so you follow proper structure, you follow proper formatting. And usually in academic writing, what you follow is Times New Roman, 12 font, double spaced. So these are some of the technicalities that you need to follow up when you're formatting. Again, please use a grammar and spell checker in your assignment, and kind of avoid the typos. And also, since you're submitting to UK, it would be very useful if you kind of look into those spellings and convert them into British spellings, because they are oftentimes we use the US spellings. So to create the coherency and cohesiveness, so you kind of follow the British spellings. I'll just move on to the scholarship part.
Can we take the scholarships part later on? We can.
Yes, I think just to sum up very clearly, these are the few of the checklists that worked out for me, and I have made it out in here, enlisted here. You can kind of take a photograph of this. It would be very useful to take a feedback from your professors, from your friends, because that helped me abundantly. Reach out to your professors. They will tell you how to approach a question and how to engage with the question. They will give you a reading list if they are very helpful. Even if they are not, you can reach out to your friends, and I think that works the best. And be very careful with the word limits and check the requirements that have been given out by your course. Again, no hard and fast rule as to how you go about your essay, but it has to be academic in nature, and it is I think beneficial if you submit an academic essay in comparison to submitting a reportage or report interview. So because it shows your analytical skills, and just be very relaxed about writing the essay. But for me, it took a lot of time to write the essay. So I mean, divide your time how you would want to, don't build upon it. So in the end, you will have two essays. You will feel that I want to check इसका भी plagiarism check करना है मुझे, इसका भी AI check करना है, I have to check this, that. So all in all, that is this is a checklist you can follow.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Also, guys, like I'm seeing a lot of questions. I'm sorry we are not answering them right away, but we have a Q&A time for Q&A session, and we'll answer all of your questions at the end. And now, and also like we talk so much about checking our work, and like the PPT was an example of it. You should always check your work before presenting. So anyway, moving on, we have Yuraj, who will be talking about DPhil. DPhil is PhD, but Oxford does its thing and calls it a DPhil and not a PhD.
Right. No, thank you, Jyotsna, and thank you, Pratyanja. Am I audible?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
you are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So I would be talking specifically about the PhD applications to Oxford, and I thought I would just begin with just talking a little bit about how complex like PhD applications and even master's applications can be, and how complicated they can be, right? to me at least, when I was applying, it was a very anxiety-inducing process. I often felt like, oh, am I good enough, right? And should I even consider applying to Oxford? Would my application would even make the first round and so on? And I just want to say that if those of you who are applying, if you also feel the same way, then you are not alone. These are not uncommon emotions and feelings to have. A lot of applicants, in fact, most of them go through these. And please don't let these feelings dissuade yourself from applying. One of the things that I found very useful in navigating these feelings was to think about a very basic but a very crucial question, which was, why do I want to do a PhD in the first place? Right? Because a PhD is not a short journey. It takes somewhere between 3 to 4 years, or even more if you're doing it in the UK, and if you're doing it in the US or North America, it'll take somewhere between 5 to 7 years. You're spending a lot of time on a single project. And it can be a very isolating journey too, right? You're away. If you're pursuing your PhD outside of India, then you're away from your home, and you are in a completely new place. You're working on a research topic, on certain research questions that only you are working on, and then you have to spend a lot of time in solitude working, reading, writing, and so on. So it can be a very isolating journey also. And then there's no guarantee after the end of the PhD that you would have a job, right? It can be very difficult to get a postdoc position or some other job that you're aiming for. So it can come with some sort of academic, like, career precarity, right? And in fact, like, most of the jobs do not even require a PhD. You might actually become overqualified if you are doing a PhD, right? So there are lots of things to think about when one is deciding about whether to do a PhD or not. So I thought about all those things, and I made it. And despite all those things, I felt drawn towards doing the PhD because it also gives one some sort of space and time and resources to think about questions that one is genuinely interested in and that one genuinely cares about, right? So thinking about this question, why do I really want to do this PhD? What value and meaning it brings into my life actually helped me navigate a lot of, like, anxieties that came with the application process. So I just wanted to mark this out in the beginning. And I would to just suggest that do spend some time with this question, particularly if you are thinking of applying to a PhD program. Now, if you do decide to apply to a PhD program, then the first step here at Oxford would be to have someone in the department that you are applying to, some faculty member willing to supervise you. That's the first step. So you do have to, like, reach out to professors who can guide you and supervise you and so on. And I don't want to go into, like, too much detail because we are running out of time. But also, one thing that I would definitely recommend is that whenever you are having some sort of correspondence or exchange with your potential supervisor, do send them your research proposal and do ask them to give their feedback and do edit your proposal based on their feedback. I think I found it very, very important in my PhD application because that particular person would have a better sense than most of the people of what would a successful research proposal looks like. Oh, right. And usually, hopefully, they would ask themselves to send a research proposal. But even if they don't, like, do not hesitate to ask them, like, would you be so kind to, like, to have a look at my proposal and provide some sort of feedback and so on. So that's the first, like, that's the first step when you're applying to the PhD. Another step, like, is of course like drafting your research proposal and personal statement or statement of purpose. It usually depends on the course that you're applying, and it's very course specific and very department specific. For in my case, I had to submit a research proposal of, I think, around like 2,500 words, and also a personal statement of around like 1,000 words. And there are like all sorts of like you'll find all sorts of insights as to how to write a proposal and a personal statement. Um, what what I found very useful, one rule that I think I stuck with and that really helped me while drafting these documents was to make sure that every sentence that I'm writing has some sort of purpose, is leading up to something, right? Because the word limit, there's a very strict word limit, so you do have to make sure that uh, so please make sure that every word and every sentence that you are putting into the proposal and the personal statement uh, leads up to something, right? It adds to the overall picture and so on. So that really helped me. But also, more importantly, I think it's very, very important, specifically when writing your personal statement and your statement of purpose, to not negate your personal experiences. Um, it's very important for you to connect the journey that you have taken in your life and how that journey has shaped you and brought you to these specific research questions and this particular research topic. It's very important, I think, to make that connection. Um, and please don't think that whatever you have that your experiences are invalid or your identity is invalid. No, they are not. They play a huge part in shaping who we are. And I think it adds to the narrative that Pratyanja talked about, right? It adds to the story. It adds a certain texture to your story, and it makes you stand out as a unique applicant, right? So I think it's very important. Another thing that Pratyanja already talked about was letter of recommendations or reference letters. So I don't have like a lot of like not going into again too much detail, but I think it's very important to reach out to your referees well in advance so that they have time. And it's also usually a good practice to have someone to have a backup, right? So, for example, one of my referees could not submit their reference letter because of some sort of emergency. But thankfully, I had someone who I could rely on. And who wrote me the reference letter. Otherwise, my application would have been cancelled, right? So it's very important to have some sort of backup option. Also, I would also suggest that don't go for famous celebrity academics. Like it's usually better to to have your referee as someone who is maybe not a very well-known figure in your field of study, but who has seen your journey, who has seen you evolve, who has seen your research questions evolve, and who can genuinely write like good and honest and things about you, who can genuinely praise you, as opposed to someone who's like a very big name who would write like a very generic reference letter. That's in my opinion, that's not very helpful. Then Jyotsna already talked about like the writing samples. One insight that I do have is that you can use, for example, your master's a part of your master's thesis or some paper that you wrote or some assignment that you did, and you can edit it and frame it as your writing sample. But it's very important that that writing sample comes across as a self-contained piece, by which I mean that it should not come across as a writing piece that has been cut out or extracted from another big writing piece, right? There should not be any sentences like as I wrote above or as I explained earlier and so on, right? when one reads it, one should feel that it has all the information that one needs. One do not need other pieces to read it. Of course, it needs to be in conversation with the broader literature. But yeah, but it should be very self-contained. Um, so all these things you would need for applying to your PhD, and most of the things for your masters also. But that does not, and that might that could give you an admission, right? But that does not guarantee a funding or a scholarship, right? So you have to apply for a lot. There are lots of like scholarships at Oxford that you can usually apply to. But one of the good things about Oxford that it also has its internal scholarships. For example, the Clarendon Scholarship, for which you do not have to put in a separate application, or there's no separate interviews for that. The only thing is that you have to submit your application by the January deadline, whenever that is. And if you are successful in submitting before the January deadline, your application would automatically be considered for the for Clarendon Scholarship. And how it usually works is that let's say 100 people are applying to a particular course or a program, and 20 people have been have been given admission for that particular program. The department will first review and nominate, let's say, 5 or 6 people out of those 20 people to the Clarendon committee, and the Clarendon committee would then select like 1 or 2 or 3 people out of those 5 or 6 people, right? One thing that becomes a sort of like criteria is your grades in your masters or your previous programs. I think Clarendon committee does pay some attention to that, but don't let it dissuade you also. Like, you can't of course go back in time and change your grades. So don't let it dissuade you, because a lot of other factors also play a huge role. For example, when the department is reviewing your application, um, it also, like, sometimes a very good research proposal which has some original idea can compensate for slightly like lesser grades, and vice versa can also happen. So don't think too much about your grades and everything. To make sure that you submit the application before the January deadline to be able to be eligible for this scholarship. Okay, that's it from my side, and I think Bhim Raj will take
Yeah,
it from here. Yeah.
yeah. Beam did not give us any slides, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible? Yeah. So JBeam everyone. I will just keep it very short. So I want to discuss just 2 things over the next 5 to 6 minutes. First is how intimidating and overwhelming this entire admission process can be, particularly if you're from a marginalized background. And second, I want to share some information which is not very well known to the outsiders. First is there are many reasons why we might feel intimidated and overwhelmed. And to be honest, places like Oxford are highly exclusionary. Only those with sufficient amount of social, economic, and cultural capital get admitted, and we lack these things. And moreover, we don't have anyone who could hold our hand, like make us feel confident and help us figure out how to navigate this process. So, because of all these things, what we do is first we reject ourselves even before we apply. We only think like, okay, anyway, I'm not going to get. What is the point of applying? So, we self reject. Even if we do get an offer, what we tend to think is we got admission because of some administrative mistake. So we do whatever we can just to beat ourselves down. And I'm not an exception, because like I came to Oxford in 2023 for my MPhil program. I completed my MPhil with distinction last year. Then I started my DPhil with full scholarship. But even now, I feel like I don't belong to this place. So I carry this burden of constantly having to prove myself that I deserve to be at Oxford. So the first thing I want to say is, if you feel uh, intimidated, overwhelmed, underconfident, anxious, That's completely fine. You're not alone. And it's completely normal to have these feelings. But the question is how to overcome this mental barrier. I don't have any concrete suggestions. These problems are structural. There is only so much we can do at the individual level. But from my personal experience, I can share some tips. First is there are no miraculous solutions. Nothing changes overnight. We have to consistently work towards these feelings. So what we can do is first, don't feel guilty or be hard on yourselves for having these thoughts or having these feelings. Don't attach yourselves or don't define yourselves based on these thoughts. So that's the first thing I would ask you to do. Don't be hard on yourselves. That's completely fine. And second, celebrate small acts of resistance. For instance, it might be intimidating even to look at the Oxford website, even to read about the course details. So, but you have managed to do that. Celebrate that. Like, that's an achievement. Now you are attending this session. This is another small act of resistance. So celebrate the small acts of resistance, which will help you to overcome these feelings ultimately. And of course, like, you can reach out to us. Eklavya has been doing a wonderful job for the past so many years in helping marginalized students to navigate this very disorienting admission process. So that's it. Like, you can always reach out to us. We are very happy to help. And second, I will briefly talk about share some information that's not very well known. First is about required percentage. What if you don't have the required percentage or don't fulfill the eligibility criteria? For example, they ask 75% in your undergrad, but you have only 70 or 65. You can still apply. Oxford departments won't reject your application outright, though there are lesser chances that you might get admission. But if you can score well in other aspects, for example, if you have a good statement of purpose, if you have a good research proposal, if your academic essay is good, there are good chances that you might still get admission. So application is a whole package. It's not just your undergrad degree. It's not just your master's degree. So that's one thing. And second is about the English proficiency test. So you don't need to have IELTS or TOEFL score when you're submitting an application. Your application will still be considered, and they will give you a conditional offer. And the condition would be like to submit your IELTS or TOEFL score before so and so date. But if you have a degree level course, which was in English medium, and you have completed the course within 2 years from the date of your application, you can request a waiver. So you can request a waiver while making this application. Even if you forget to raise this request, you can still write to your department that I have completed my degree. Or even if you don't fulfill that criteria, you can still write to them that I have published papers, or though I have not completed my degree within 2 years from the date of application, my master's or my undergrad was in English. Still, the department might consider. So the admission is at the department level. So your department has a lot of discretion. If you have any doubts or if you want anything, just feel free to write to them. And last, I want to talk about the 2 scholarships given by the Oxford India Center for Sustainable Development, particularly for marginalized students. One is Savitribai Phule Scholarship and one is the Amansa Scholarship. So students from Dalit, Adivasi and Bahujan backgrounds or first generation students, only these students are eligible for these scholarships. There is no separate application. You will be automatically considered for the scholarships. And just because you are eligible for this scholarship, that doesn't mean like you will not be considered for other scholarships. Oxford India Center has at least 8 to 9 scholarships for master students and 1-2 scholarship for DPhil students. So just because you're eligible for these scholarships, you will that doesn't mean like you will not be considered for other scholarships. So this is what I want to say. Even like Yuvraj talked about how this scholarship process works. So your admission, your selection will be made by the department. Then your department will send a rank list to the scholarship bodies, including Oxford India Center. And based on that rank list, they will shortlist students for interview. And if you perform well in interview, then you might get that scholarship. And I think that's it. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm done.
Hello, Bimraj. Jai Bim. Thank you so much for sharing this information. I just have one question regarding SOP. I wanted to know from you, since you have this experience, can we write about our social positioning, and does that valued at Oxford?
Okay, first, personally, I don't have experience writing an SOP because law department doesn't ask for SOP. And second, yes.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
See, the thing is, it's a very tricky space. It's a choice that you will have to exercise, and it is like a gamble. Uh, you can never know what the committee, who the assessors are, who might be reading your SOP. So it's a personal choice that you will have to gamble. If you want to add something to it, Bhim, I'm so sorry because like I knew you hadn't written an SOP, so
Yeah. So personally, I haven't written SOPs, but I have reviewed a lot of statement of purposes. So again, like it's a choice you have to make. It's not that if you can write about your identity, that in itself will guarantee admission or something. It depends on how you use it, what is the narrative, how is connected to the course, everything. So it depends on a lot of factors. Personally, I would suggest if you feel comfortable writing about your identity, if you think that will help you to get that admission, to have a slight edge, feel free to write about it. Never hesitate. But it's a personal choice, like you have to take that call.
also, guys, like just one thing, I can see a lot of your chats, but we cannot really review your profile right away from the short introduction that you're giving us. After this session, a form will be released wherein we will be asking for an SOP. It's December now, so I hope everybody has at least like a first draft ready. So we will be asking for your SOPs, your CVs, and some other information to like gauge and let you know if you can apply to Oxford. And please, I highly encourage everyone to please fill that form and send us your details because that's only how we will be able to help you. So please do that. And if there are any more general questions, there's like one question about economics and GRE. So I am not entirely sure about the cutoff, but there's all the information is there on the website. I can get once you get your mentors assigned, they will help you, of course, through the process. But make it an essential thing that you go through your course department's page and read through each and everything because like I found the websites very intimidating, of course, but very comprehensive. They have all the information there. And I think, like, guys, if you can just pick out questions you think we can answer right now, that would be great. There's this question about reaching out to course professors for essay reviews, if anyone wants to take that up, because I have not done this.
I think, can I take this up or you, Raj, you want to? I think.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
So I believe for masters, you don't really need to do that, but you can ask if there is some sort of like, only because if there are requirements and you are confused about them, you can put forward a general query, but I would recommend not to do that at this point of stage. And you should probably ask your professors who have taught you undergraduate degree, or if you're doing a double masters, your previous masters. So it's better to go with that flow.
I would also like add that like it also depends. Like if you are, let's say, applying for a DPhil or a PhD program, and you have had some sort of like correspondence, some sort of emails. Of course, you would have had like with your potential supervisor. And if you feel that you have a good relationship with them, and if you feel that they are generous and kind enough, um, then there's no harm also. Like you can ask them. Like it really depends on the kind of relationship that you have with your potential supervisor. But if you do feel, if you can gauge that they are generous and they are kind, and their feedback would genuinely help, then I don't see any harm in reaching out also. Yeah.
Jyotsna, would you also like to tap on the scholarships thing?
Oh, yes, we can go to the particular slide. So when you are, so I would highly recommend you to begin with the application process. And before submitting the application process, towards the end, you will see there is a section where they have mentioned scholarships that require a separate application process. They give out the statements. You can check Oxford's website for A to Z scholarships that are enlisted there. These are a few of the scholarships that require a separate application process. Check out the eligibility criteria, and for these particular scholarships, you have to work on a statement and how many words does the statement comprises of. Everything is enlisted within the website. So I would highly recommend you to look into this, because you have to attach the statements towards the end of your application, and you have to there is a checkbox that they have given for all these separate scholarships, and you have to tick those and fill the statement that they have provided. So do look at these scholarships.
There's one question of how does how long does the university typically take to get back? I think we know by March end. I think that's the maximum. Like by March end, you usually get the results are out. I'm not sure about the scholarships though. When does the scholarship results come out?
It depends on the scholarship. Like for example, Oxford India Center conducts interview in April or May, then it publishes its results in June generally. Also, like there are a lot of questions about CGPA. Can I answer that question? Like as I said, of course, if you don't have required CGPA or required percentage, it's fine. You can still apply, because the eligibility requirements are guidelines, not strict criteria. Even though you don't fulfill this criteria, if you can score in other aspects, for example, as I said earlier, if your statement of purpose is good, if your academic essay is good, or if your research proposal is good, or if you perform well in interview, you can still get admission. So CGPA is not the only thing, because we are so much used to this, reducing everything to entrance exam marks. So that's, with that mindset, please don't approach Oxford or any admission abroad. That's what I want to say.
So there is all sorry.
So sorry, Yuvraj, you can go ahead first.
No, I just wanted to reiterate what Bhim is saying, because a lot of people are asking questions about their grades and CGPA. Think about your application. Think about your grades and your CGPA as only one part of your application, and really you can't like go back in time and change it if you have already done your masters, right? So forget about it. Don't give it too much thought. In fact, what you can do, what I did was, so I had not got like good grades in a couple of courses. So I asked my referee to actually, so my referee knew me, like they had seen me struggle and so on, go through like some hardships in life and so on. So they mentioned in their reference letter that this person was going through a difficult period of time, but still he managed to like complete this course and whatever. And that shows some sort of resilience in him, right? And the quality of resilience is very important, right? If you are wanting to be in an academic space, right? So you can like frame it differently, and of course think about your grades and CGPA as just one part of your application. Then there's your proposal, SOP, your personal statement. Then there's your reference letters. There's your writing samples, your interviews. So do well in all those things, and it can definitely like compensate not just for admission but also for scholarships.
Okay, so there's like this. Sorry, Jyotsna, you wanna add?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just looking at the general timeline thing. I think you should start now. Now is a good time to start writing your SOPs, asking for LORs, and I think the applications end by end of January. So now is a good time to start reaching out to people and sending your material to them.
I think just to add to what Bhim and Yuvraj has said, so in my personal experience, I got my offer when I was in the middle of my semester, fifth semester. I hadn't got my grades for the sixth semester and also for the fifth semester. And they set out a conditional offer letter of a required CGPA for me, which was 8.0. So I had to meet that required CGPA. So if your conditional offer letter states that, so I believe they would kind of look into your CGPA, but at the same time, if there is a marginal shortfall, they will consider your case in that way also. So in totality, don't dwell too much on your marks grade, because for me it was very pressurizing that I had got the conditional offer letter, but my fifth semester and sixth semester results were still not out. So for the one whole year, I had to maintain my CGPA. So you can go about, as Yuvraj said, to your professors, approach them if there is an optional paper that aligns with the course that you're doing here, but you don't have the required set of grades. So you can just email your professors who have taught you, and they can vouch for you in the LORs. So that can be one way to go about it, but don't dwell too much on your marks.
Bhim, I think there is a question for you. Oh, okay. About a professional LO.
Yeah. So if your referees don't have a professional email ID, I think they can send it from personal email ID. I think that option is there, but I think you have to inform that during your application process. I'm not entirely sure, but there is an option to do that. So that's not a problem. And also, like someone asked about publication, even for DPhil admission, like here they don't look for publications, so don't worry about that. So that is not a requirement. Focus on your academic essays, as again repeating the same point, academic essays, SOP, and research proposal. So just focus on these things. These are very important.
Jyotsna, there's one question tagging you. Until you go through that, I'm gonna answer like two questions. Kritagya, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Your name. You can reach out to me definitely. I am doing the Economics for Development course. We have our emails right here. You all can reach out to any of us. Tanmay, I know someone who got into Oxford for archaeology. So write to me. I will put you in connection with that person. Yeah, Jyotsna, do you want to take that up?
Pratyansha, is it by Mahesh Uike? Is this the question?
I think it's the one on AI. Can
Yes.
you, like,
Yeah.
if you want to answer?
I think I read through it, and I think what they are asking is the chances of getting into Oxford. And I think, as Pratyansha said, at this stage, we can't really comprehensively tell you uh, as to what would be the chances and what would not be the case. So I believe it depends on a lot of factors, such as as being pointed out, academic essays, SOPs, LORs. So it would be good to just focus on these three aspects, because the deadline is very near, it is approaching. And just don't feel at the back seat. Just be very motivated about your whole application, enjoy it. And I think that's all I can say at this point. And the probability, I'm very weak at maths, so I can't tell the probability. Sorry.
You can never tell the probability with Oxford.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I can see the anxiety in the chat box, like whether I can do this, I can do that. Just relax. Like I got expelled from my previous university. I still got admission to Oxford. So I didn't, what to say, you don't have to say everything in your CV or in your SOPs. Like the narrative is in your control. So like you don't have to worry about all these minute things, like whether I can do this, do that, will that have a negative impact? Please don't worry about that. Just focus on your these core aspects. You have a lot of, what to say, you have a good chance of getting into Oxford.
Guys, if
And
you all
to
get...
be
No,
yeah,
sorry.
no, to be honest, like Oxford admission process is very opaque. Like it's not transparent. Like they say they select based on merit. The scholarship bodies say they give scholarships based on merit, but no one knows on what basis they define merit. So we can't say anything on that aspect. We can do
Call it
whatever
a
is in our
black
control.
box here.
Yeah. So just do things which is in our control, like just like writing a good SOP, writing a good academic essay, reaching out to people, getting comments. Then, for example, I wrote 5, 6 drafts for my DPhil proposal. So based on like comments from my supervisor. So work on those aspects and don't worry about all these other things.
Guys, if you all get Bhimraj as your mentor, he has interesting stories. You all will be lucky. Okay, I see someone who has written about anthropology and some Oxford professor saying, asking them to do a postgraduate course. please go ahead. If you can get scholarship and if you can apply for the postgraduate course, please go ahead and do it. And then later on, you can reach out to this same professor and be like, oh, you had told me that I should do a postgraduate program. Can you now supervise me? I've done it. So like that'll work out really well for you.
Also, if I just may add a point to that, like I don't know, Akash asked this question, right? So we don't know like if they've already done their masters or not, right? If they've already done a postgraduate program in anthropology or not. So if you have already done some sort of postgraduate program, and if you feel that you're ready for your PhD, and if you don't want to do a postgraduate program, then you can reach out to other people in the anthropology department, and also like definitely check out different other universities also. Like it really depends on where you are in your life and career.
I think that's an interesting question. What about the future possibility after Oxford? Is it worthy? We are yet to find it out.
Talk to us after like a year or something.
Yeah, we also don't know.
Yeah, and someone is asking about applying, about guidance. Shubham is asking that they need like guidance about applying for Melbourne University. Actually, Shubham, I did like so I'm familiar with the PhD process, at least in Australia also, Australian universities. And I would say that it's not very different from what's the process like is at Oxford. You do have to find a potential supervisor. You have to draft a research proposal. You have to submit your references, your writing samples, and everything. So all of it is almost the same. You just have to check the guidelines listed on the course on the university website.
Also, I see a question that is talking about DPhil and the skills that you need to gain. So, one thing that I used to do was like I went through the coursework of my course, and then like I did some online courses which align with that. So, I get like a background or base to so that I'm not blank when I go there. So, maybe everyone can do that. This is like a generic advice. If you have time with you, you can just do some online courses aligning with the courses that these offer, and it will help. And I see a lot of questions are asking about eligibility criteria. Like I am not sure about what the civil engineering thing is, but then just go to the website. Everything is there. I find Oxford websites very informational, to be honest.
Then Princey asked, like, I'm a first year in law student, like first year in law, so I may be like you have 4 more, like you have a lot of time. Just focus on your like undergrad degree. So I think you have 4 more years, so you don't have to worry about all these things now, at least.
But I am very happy that you're thinking about things right away. That's very commendable. Yeah, Preetham, go ahead. I hope you can unmute.
No, I think only hosts can unmute because I also had trouble
No,
unmuting
I have
myself.
like changed that setting.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. If there are any questions, guys, you can like raise your hand, then we can take them up one by one. And it's been an hour, so we can go on for like another 5-10 minutes. Yeah.
Hi, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, yes, Pratinsh. Actually, I have an hand raised. So, can I speak now?
Yeah, please do. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you
Yes.
are. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So, thank you so much actually to like an organizer for organizing such a wonderful session actually. So, I have a question that actually I'm currently working in the development sector with almost 4 to 5 years of experience within a reputed organization in a as a leadership position, and still I'm like I'm preparing for the master in abroad, and I'm actually evaluating whether pursuing a 1-year master's program by stepping away from my current role would be a better decision for my long-term position or what. Actually, this is I'm confusing, so that's why I'm asking to you. So please suggest me accordingly. What do you think about it?
Anyone wants to take that up? Oh, I am the development. No, but please go ahead.
No, no, like there's no answer to this question. Like, yeah, so like because you have 4 to 5 years of experience, you have a slight advantage. Uh, but like how that will impact your career, whether that will be useful, that's a call you have to make. So I don't think I can or we can be of any help in this regard.
But I know someone who has done this. Like they had experience in the development sector for a while, and they are doing a master's uh, in the UK right now. Like just reach out to me, and I will put you in contact with them, and maybe they will be in a better position to answer that for you. Are there any questions? Um, oh, I don't know what what I did. Oh, so if you have there are a lot of people who come for the international exposure. So, but like I am not the right person to answer if your package will increase. I really don't know. If it does, please tell me which company gave you that increased package. No, but like I don't also want to like discourage everyone from कि job मिलता है कि नहीं मिल जाता है. Like the brand, it gives some value to your profile, so don't be discouraged. We joke about this because we are very skeptical about what will happen with us, but it does give value to your profile. Yeah, Akash, please go ahead.
So, question I have good grades in my graduation and I have some work experience stored. And
Akash, I am so sorry about interrupting you. Would it be possible for you to write down your query because your sound is a little bit muffled? I'm so sorry. Mohammed, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening all. I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. My question is to Tatanja. So now I'm working as a research assistant. So my background is economics. So I have dot on GRE. So how can we prepare? I'm going through the GRE syllabus. So on what section we have to focus? Verbal. So I want to something can you say on this GRE. And along with that, I have question on: is there possible to waive the application fees if they are waived or not?
Oh, that's Oxford is a very like they don't give you a waiver for application process. But then, so like what I did was I applied to all the universities which gave me a waiver, and then for Oxford I was like I will consider this कि मैंने सबको एक हजार दे दिया. So that might not be possible for everyone, I understand, but if you think your profile is really nice and you can once you get in, that feeling is different. So like I would encourage people to do it. The GRE question, I think if you're planning to go for the economics for development course, even the MPhil in economics, they have like a certain cutoff. I don't remember the exact number right now. But yeah, I mean, वो लोग verbal पे ज़्यादा ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. They focus on the quant part of it more, but you need to have like a good overall score. So just go through the website, all the information is there. And guys, if you think that I'm wrong about anything, please, you can correct me. Like with the application fee question.
No, that's right. Like, Oxford doesn't waive application for Indian applicants. Only certain least backward countries are eligible for application fee waiver. And if you're already a student at Oxford, you don't have to pay application fee when you're making another application. So other than that, like Oxford doesn't waive. But no harm in writing to your department. Just ask them whether they can waive it. They might consider. Because Oxford departments, like they have a lot of discretion on these issues.
Yeah, Preetam. I'll just like, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, yes. This side is Ankush actually.
Sorry.
Hello.
I did not catch that. I'm so sorry.
Hi, yes. This side is Ankush. Yes, I'm audible, na?
Yeah, yeah,
Ha.
yeah.
Yes, I'm continuing with the same question. Actually, you said like an in Oxford University, after the completion of your course, you will get an like an value and like Oxford is such a brand. So like that, I'm thinking about it. Ki, yes, obviously, I have 4 to 5 years of experience. I have a value in the same sector. So, what do you think actually? मैं actually confused हो रहा हूँ, है ना? So can you guide me कि actually why should I pursue my career or like an academics career in the Oxford? Because I have already such a experience in the sector, and I am like looking out for the same sector masters in Oxford also. So why should I actually? This is
Like,
actually
you
my question.
want to take that up,
Ha, ha, ha.
or should I?
I mean, I can like very briefly, I can say that it really depends on you. Like like I said, like for example, a lot of like jobs do not require a PhD, right? So or even a master's and so on. And doing like having a degree from Oxford does like fortunately or unfortunately does enhance your some sort like value, for the lack of a better word, in the market. But it really depends on you. What kind of life do you want? What are your aims and goals regarding your career and so on? But there's no guarantee also. Like it really there's no guarantee that if you have some sort of degree from Oxford or from some Ivy League institution, that it would like really help you progress in the career in the way that you have imagined. Yeah, that's just a brief thought.
There's a question by Deepika about not having connections with the professors. See, the thing is, it's not necessary that you have those connections. Maybe just go to them with your mark sheet or your papers or whatever they might have taught you and be like, okay, I scored this much in your this thing, and then I've done this assignment for you. So can you write me an LOR? It's not essential to have that relationship, but if you don't, you can just reach out and see whoever is willing to help you out.
I think just to add to what Pratyansha has said, so what you mean by personal connection, we should distinct between the academic, like you academically know someone that if they've taught you an optional paper, or if they have taught you for a particular term and you believe that the course that they have taught aligns with the course that you want to pursue here at Oxford. I think it's best that you go ahead as to whatever Pratyansha has said. And also within the website, I have seen a lot of people who have kind of taken LORs from the school teachers only and in those cases where the research or whatever they want to do aligns with what they're going to pursue here. So you can reach out to your school teachers given that it aligns with what you are going to pursue here. It aligns with the course that you're applying for. And also there are two like academic LORs and professional LORs, which are different and distinct. So particularly for my course, which was MSc in Modern South Asian Studies, there was this statement given out by the department that we can submit one professional LOR, which can be someone you have worked with as an intern, as a research analyst, or you have, known in professional capacity. So these are the two kind of types of LORs that you can submit, professional and academic, but usually academic LORs are preferred and professionals are preferred in cases of area studies. So if you are applying for an area studies department, then they would ask you to have prerequisite um, you know information about the area that you're doing, and if you have any previous experience to substantiate, so you can ask ahead with the interns. Yeah.
I see a Xavieritis here. So, Swara, I think this is like a general advice for everyone only. If you plan on pursuing a particular subject, just go through all the universities' websites and check what course or related course they're offering of the subject that you're studying and try and apply there. That's like if you want to go abroad, that was my strategy. I think there were a lot of personal questions. I'm so sorry we could not. And if you're not picking up a particular question from the chat, it's because that's something that we cannot answer on, or maybe it's like very personal and we cannot make like a statement right away. We need more information. Is there anything else?
Excuse me, good evening.
Yeah, go ahead, Tanishka.
I'm Tanishka and I'm currently a first year psychology student, and I would love to know that what should be my plans for the next 3 years. Like I'm in the first year, so I'm like completely unaware that what should be doing. But it's just that I don't want to regret it on the third year that I have missed out on many things.
These people are so forward. I had no idea what I want to do in my FY. I was like barely passing. So, no, it's very nice that y'all are thinking about these things so ahead. Just go through the website, look at what course you want to do, look at the courses they offer, pick a course, optional course from your undergrad which aligns with that. Do some extra things which will align with that. That's like the general advice, I think. And if anyone else has to add something. There is one question about MBA. So I think like this is something I know about MBA. In Oxford, they do prefer a lot of people from engineering backgrounds and everything. So of course you can apply, and they also give a lot of importance to experience. So if you have that, that's like a plus for you. Beam, he's also asking if he can do law.
Law, no, you need a undergrad law degree, like to apply for masters or DPhil. So that's not an option.
Kranti, I think your question was answered previously. You can write to the department saying that I have done my course entire undergrad, whatever, in English. So you can ask for a waiver, English language waiver. I there was some hand, I hope like the question was answered, so it went down and we are
Hello.
already.
Actually, it was me, Pratensha. Am I
Yeah,
audible clearly now?
yeah, go ahead.
So, I have done my BBA and I want to pursue my MBA. And I have great grades in my BBA. I have work experience. I have vivid work experience. But the issue is because of my circumstances, I was never able to take initiatives in extracurricular activities or sports activities. Though I have started working towards those things, I engage in social activities since last 3 years. How does it make me appear there? How does my profile weigh there?
Again, I am so sorry we cannot answer that for you right away. We need more information. And I think I read the question and we did not answer because it was a little difficult to navigate.
Okay,
We
that's
will
all right.
take
Thank you.
like 1 to 2 more questions if there are any. And we can conclude because like we're way over time. Okay, so I'm assuming there are no more questions. Thank you guys for joining from Oxford. All of these people are in Oxford enjoying the weather, pleasant weather. I am in Mumbai. So like if anyone wants to reach out, please go ahead. And I hope this was a useful session for everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Jafar, with all the technical help that you provided. And big thanks to Yuvraj, Jyotsna, and Bhimraj for taking out time and doing this. And yeah, just fill in the form, guys, that we will be sending after this. And we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you. Bye, guys. Have fun.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Jafar. Bye.